We're here at the Atlanta National Money Show, and this is the Midwinter ANA.
This is one of our 2 conventions we hold each year. We promote the hobby as far as the study of old coinage and new coinage too. Basically anything that has been printed or minted, and also tokens, anything that can be used as trade or numismatic items. We just do it all.
I go to a lot of these. This is one of the biggest shows in the country though, by far.
It's been fantastic. Last couple of days we've had a lot of traffic coming and going.
There's people from all over the country. I talked to guys from Michigan, Tennessee, California, Mississippi, Alabama.
My best friend, she lives in Texas. I met her through ANA. It's just really cool to meet somebody a lot like yourself who lives in a different part of the country that I never would have met any other way.
Met a lot of people, spending way too much time and money.
I started collecting because my dad wanted to teach me about geography, he wanted to teach me about money, he wanted to teach me about finance and all that kind of stuff when I was a little kid. And his own dad taught him all that stuff through coin collecting. And I was a little kid and, you know, shiny things, coins were exciting to me. And I learned all about different countries and countries that didn't exist anymore.
I got into collecting when I was 11 because I walked into an antique store and I saw an old seated Liberty dime and I just fell in love with it.
My Girl Scout troop went to a huge coin convention in Florida, and I've always been obsessed with like history and art and stuff, so as soon as I saw that coins kind of combined both of that, I was like, this is awesome and something I need to do. And so I've just kind of gradually become more and more obsessed as I've gotten older.
I was 5 years old. I lived down the Alabama state line, lived in an old house. After a rain one day, I came across something shiny in the dirt behind our house, and it was mercury dime. It turns out the dime was a 26S, and it was like a fine, and it was worth $5 at the time. You know, for a kid, that's like $1 million.
It was rainy outside, the weather was terrible. Needed something for my kids to do, so I pulled some coins out and we started looking at them, and they started asking questions, and we've been doing coin shows now for about 15 years.
As a kid in 1942, I was in an ice cream parlor. I looked down on the floor, what's this? And I pick it up, and another little kid said, oh, it's an Indian head penny, I'll give you a nickel for it. And I got to thinking, well, maybe I'll keep that. And I still have that coin today, and it's worth a dime now.
I like to think one day somebody used this coin maybe in the 1800s and who knows, bought a soda with it or paid their mortgage with it.
When you get a coin from 1740 from whatever country, somebody was using this to buy a mule or something, or somebody was buying this to pay somebody to make them a pair of shoes.
With ancient coins, like an emperor could have held that, or, you know, just, you never know what was with who. This one piece of metal can connect so many people through so many different time periods.
With coins, it had a date on it, so you could actually tie it into history. The first coin I ever bought was an 1812 copper coin of Napoleon. He was besieged in Antwerp, Belgium, and his army was about to kill him, so he melted down some cannons to make money to pay the soldiers.
These are just Crusader coins, and they're not much to look at. Julius Caesar made this money when he declared war by crossing the Rubicon, the die is cast. He had to pay his troops. They're literally hammering these coins, paying the troops as they chase Pompey and them out of Italy.
Every note, like a fingerprint, has a story. Just like people. Close your eyes and point your finger and say, tell me about that one. And there would be a story behind it.
Tell me about this one.
Oh no, that's boring. No, I'm only kidding. What you pointed to was the only note in US history that features Martha Washington, who is what we consider the first lady of the United States, the very first lady.
For 80 years, Coca-Cola was only a nickel. So I put together what the different coins looked like through the years. So you know, there's all the different nickels, different bottles that go up through the years. At one time, Coke was a nickel. They wanted to raise the price, but they didn't want to raise it to a dime because that would be doubling the price. So they lobbied the government for a 7.5-cent coin. But of course, that didn't work out.
I was always kind of weird about spending money. You know, I was cheap. I'm still cheap. The only thing I'm not cheap with is buying coins. I'm constantly badgering my friends about showing me their change, you know. They'll buy a Coke and get some change back from the taxes, and I'm like, let me look at that.
I work in fast food, so I'm constantly getting like change and things, and like every time I get it, I'll be like looking through my change, especially like with the W quarters. I'm always like, oh, does it have a W on it or whatever? Whereas my coworkers will be like, what are you doing? Like, just put the money away.
I'll walk into McDonald's and the bill's $8 and I give her a couple of twos and Eisenhower dollar coin and some Kennedy half dollars and Sacagawea quarters, and it takes them 15 minutes to figure out what they've got because they've never seen these things before.
I want my grandchildren to get into this so they can collect money. I want them to know about American history. There are several hard times tokens during the Depression. That's how people paid for things, with tokens, because nobody had any money. So my grandchildren will know about the Depression and where we were before.
I think a lot of the hate and fear we have today, especially in politics, is out of a lot of ignorance and misunderstanding, and not appreciating our cultural roots, our common shared values, our real history. For instance, this fight over whether or not Harriet Tubman should be on a $20 bill with Andrew Jackson, our president. A lot of people don't remember or don't realize he's the guy who killed the Bank of the United States, one of the first major depressions in the nation's history. And we honor him on a piece of money over a woman who saved, I don't know, thousands of lives?
U.S. money is part of our history, and to not know the history of money is to not be educated or knowledgeable about Martha Washington, George Washington, Alexander Hamilton. There's a Broadway play called Hamilton. Ask 95% of the young people and they would say, I think the guy was on a $10 bill, but not really have the recollection of what he truly meant to the country and how impactful he was. The $10 bill is to remind us of the significance of his actions. He dedicated his life, got shot in a duel, and died. He wanted to be in the room where it happened, and he was. And that's a great story.